Basically, I want them to develop that pride, because that's something, which we lack. Because we're always looking at what is not there. So that is something, if you have to have the pride, it has to start from a very young age. It is not that when you represent the country, you say, no, I'm proud. The pride don't come at that time.
Yeah.
It has to start from your school. Yes, I'm the best from my school. I'll do the best for my school. I'll do the best for my district. I'll do the best for my college. Everywhere best for my state. It is that pride. Once you develop the pride, it is not arrogance.
Yes.
Yes, so that is different, so that they have to develop at a young age. So I always tell them, have pride.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Luminary Lounge podcast, where we unearth insights from lives well lived. I'm your host, Dr. Gayatri Sasikumar, and today we're sitting down with a legend. A champion who, after stepping off the podium, continues to shape the careers of others. His influence runs deep through Indian badminton's greatest triumphs, from serving as India's chief national coach to molding Lakshya Sen into a world-class shuttler, from mentoring champions like Parupalli Kashyap, Saina Nehwal and Ashwini Ponnappa, to co-founding the Prakash Padukone Academy and managing India's historic Thomas Cup victory. He's been the guiding force behind it all. A two-time French Open champion, a two-time national champion, an Olympian, a Dronacharya awardee, and a man who has never shied away from speaking his mind about what Indian badminton needs to succeed. A man who once stood up to challenge the very establishment of Indian badminton to bring the reforms the sports desperately needs. Mr. U. Vimal Kumar. Vimal sir, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Patrick, for having me here. I'm not a legend. Don't call me a legend.
Of course you are. And I'd like to thank you so much for opening the doors of the Academy to us today. And it's such a breathtaking campus, like I was telling you. And knowing that, walking through these walls, knowing that it is watched champions being forged, it's such a humbling experience for me and my team.
Yeah, this is one of the best, maybe private facility in the country. And thanks to Vivek and his family, and he's one of the co-founders of our academy,
Yes.
and we have an excellent facility. Last 8 years, we run the academy activities from here.
And it's, I must tell you, I think I'm so much in awe of what you all are
It's
doing
pure
here.
sports.
Yes,
So it is
yes.
nice.
It makes me want to go back to my childhood again and see if I can, should go the sports way.
It is,
Yes.
It always gives, because if the children can come in and walk through this area, they can get to see different types of athletes with different sports disciplines. And so it's a perfect environment for a young kid to
Absolutely, yes.
take up sport.
Yes. So, Vimal sir, we'll just start from your childhood. Now we're talking about children and sports. So, we can start from your childhood. You hail from Kerala.
Yes.
And at the time that you started playing badminton, probably was not traditionally a powerhouse of badminton as a sport. So, how did badminton happen to you?
I think maybe it was in 1962. Maybe my father watched the National Badminton Championships. That was the first time national championships were held in Trivandrum, and it was in an indoor badminton hall built by Godavarma Raja. And so that was a good two badminton. At that time, the biggest star of Indian badminton was Nandu Nadekar. He's from Maharashtra, and he was a very popular person. And of course, Kerala badminton wasn't that popular, but they held the nationals over there. My father went and watched it, and he was very impressed with the way Nadekar played. And so then he came back, maybe after a couple of years, in front of his house. He set up an outdoor badminton court, and those times a lot of people played outdoor badminton, and ball badminton also was very popular. But my father, he was so impressed with Mr. Nandu Nadekar, and so then he came and he started playing with his friends in the evenings and early mornings. So then when we became 4-5 years in 66-67 phase, 1966-67 phase, we also started playing. And
so you started playing when you were like 6?
5-6 years.
5 or 6
5
years.
Yeah,
Okay.
5 years. Yeah.
And did your father then recognize that you were some kind of a prodigy?
No. My father, he gave us some. He provided us some hockey sticks and ball, and cricket bat was there. It was. We were just playing. Me and my elder brother. We just played, and in the evenings with our other the neighbors, and they all played. But luckily, at the time, of course, badminton is a very technical sport.
Yeah.
So you need to pick up the right techniques. And that was very important. Maybe luckily, I picked up the right grip. My brother also picked up the right way of holding the racket without any coaching and such things. And we started hitting the shuttlecock. Luckily, it turned out to be the correct, because techniques are very important. And we didn't know much about the footwork and such things, but just started playing outdoor badminton. And
so it's interesting you were telling about this ball badminton and how India started playing. And when I was doing research for you, I've been playing badminton in school, but I never had done a research on how badminton originated. And interestingly, it started in India.
Yeah,
it was called Pune. The British. Yeah, so it's amazing how the sport originated in our country.
But for Indians, it's like hockey and cricket. For badminton, you need supple wrist, and Indians had always have that natural ability, to excel in sport like so. If you have the Indians were always wristy, like the earlier cricketers, the badminton players, they all had good wrists. And so that helped the sport, and so badminton Indians were always decent in badminton, right from the 50s. If you look at it, they were good players. And then Dinesh Khanna made it very big. He won the Asian Championship. So we have a good history. But everything turned when Prakash won the All England in 1980. So it was Prakash really brought the sport into the limelight.
Yes. So when we were talking before, you said, you watched him, and all your generation wanted to become like him. So you started off playing at 5, 6.
Yes.
And that was mostly probably recreational, and then with your friends. And then when did you decide that you want to take this up seriously?
Again, nothing like that. My father put me on for a tournament in Trivandrum. It was an outdoor badminton event that was in Trivandrum YMCA.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 8 or 9 years.
Wow, okay.
So I played that. So it was normally all the hostlers from YMCA, they would sit and watch the match. And I was playing an older person in the first round. I played really good. And all the students over there, they all cheered for me, even though I lost, so. But that was the first time, he introduced me. Then seeing all that enthusiasm, and there were a lot of other good state players played the tournament. And so then my father felt that, I should continue playing. And that's how then I started playing regular state district level tournaments. And there were always some few competitions there in Trivandrum. Then I started playing for the school and such things, and just picked it up.
And then you were the junior national champion?
Yes, that was in the 70s. I was, when I was the best junior player in the country, then that was a phase, maybe late 70s. They sent me to England. Yeah, and that was an initiative by the Kerala government through Badminton Association of India.
Oh, okay.
So we were all considered then as very promising athletes. Myself, P.T. Usha, and we were all coming up at that time. And the big stars of Kerala then were Jimmy George and Suresh Babu, T.C. Yohanan. They were all great athletes. So badminton was those time, maybe the two who I can think of who played for India were Noreen Padua and Lata Kailas. So they all, they played for India, and but most of them at the time, the academics was the priority, and
so which brings me to my next question. You went to England, but then you had to come back because you got a seat in medicine.
Yes, that was the sports seat, because we also were winning the All India University. And I was the state champion. I was the #1 junior player of the country. And so getting admission to medical college, Trivandrum Medical College, was always very difficult. But I got it. And because for my sports, marks. And but then at that time, maybe Prakash also was really doing well at the world stage. Those days, there was no TV or anything. We used to read a lot of newspapers. From there, we used to get news. And then when he won the Prudential Masters, that was in 1979, he became, but that was the first time badminton became open. And when he won it, I was a few months after that, I was sent to England. And, so I wanted to be, achieve whatever Prakash, I thought, I wanted to be like him. And so then decided that I won't take
up
a
the medical
seat. And my mother was a little upset because she was a teacher. And, but my father was okay with it. And
I can imagine, because I hail from Trivandrum as well, and I know how important academics is there, and then medicine is like the ultimate career choice for everyone.
And Trivandrum Medical and Engineering College, tough to get. And if you get it there, nobody wants to give up.
Give up the seat, yes.
But my teachers, they were all very supportive, and in school, and so they said, you can decide.
Looking back, have you ever regretted the decision?
Absolutely no. Never. That's something, I wanted to, because now, everybody has the choice, you have more opportunities.
Yes.
But for me, when I look back, I never thought about the consequences or anything. But I have absolutely no regrets.
And I think you're very fortunate to have had such supportive parents during those days who allowed you to go into your sport.
Because of badminton, I could travel, go to different countries, live in another country. The experiences I've had, definitely. And also medicine, even PUC, I couldn't even dissect the cockroach and that element. You have to display all that. I used to hate it. And the frog pithing, and, I used to go mad. And, so, but I couldn't. But anyway, I have absolutely no regrets.
Yes. Absolutely. So you've achieved remarkable success in your career. French Open titles in 1983 and 84, Welsh international victories, World Top 20 ranking, and you're among the first 3 individuals to represent India in the Summer Olympics in Barcelona.
Yes.
And that was when badminton was officially first made a medal sport. So could you walk us through what that period felt like?
No, that was, I think when I was in college, I won these international few tournaments. I was doing my BCom then. And then after I finished my graduation, I felt that my game was getting stagnated. And so I was, then I moved to England. And prior to that, I played a few All England championships in 81, 82 phase when I was studying. I played that, even though I lost early, but then I decided that I would move. And so 83, I moved to England, and I lived there for maybe 10 years. 10 years. And, so that was very, because it was tough life, there was no money. I was, it was not, there wasn't much money in badminton. And even though I didn't have a contract or anything, but my coach over there, Mr. Thomas John, he was very helpful. He's an Indian, I met him in 79 over there, so he was
when you first went.
Yeah, first went, he was very keen that I pursue seriously. And, he thought I was very soft. And so I needed to be, he wanted to toughen me up. And so he would put me through really a lot of rigorous training. And I was based in one of the best part of London, Wimbledon Squash and Badminton Club. It was one of the best badminton centers in England. And so I played over there. I didn't have any money. The club was also very good. But later, initially I didn't have it was short. So then I worked in an Italian restaurant as a waiter.
Okay.
So earned some money in the night. I earned to play badminton. And again, it was a process. It was initiated by my coach because he wanted to toughen me up. Because he had invited me. I thought he would give me everyday food and make me sing. And he was providing all that. For first 3 months, he watched me. And I would come, eat, go back, train, come back, sleep, do nothing. So after a couple of months, he said, you have to find a job, he told me. So he said, I can't feed you like this every. So then I realized, he was taking care of me. And I never thought, it was, So then he said, you go to walk down that Wimbledon area, you can find a job. So I thought I was a graduate, then I can get some back job or something. So I just walked around the streets over there. So everywhere I found was help needed, cleaners wanted, all the windows, this thing, shop assistant required, chef, waiters, those were the things. So I went back and told him that, these are the jobs available. So what should I? He said, then what do you think, you get? So he said, you should just work, Again, it was he wanted me to get toughened, so that was at that time I was really upset,
Yeah.
And, but then when I started working, the restaurant people were very nice. So they gave me a night shift. I said, I've come from India to play badminton. And so then they gave me night shifts from 6 to 1 in the night. I used to work as a waiter. And then daytime, I played badminton. And so that was a good phase. And, I have no regrets. It was really enjoyable. And even during Wimbledon time, many of these tennis stars those days, Martina Navratilova, Chris Evert, John McEnroe, they all used to come to eat that in the same restaurant, just an Italian place, Pastificio. So they would come and eat. So I would serve them and, I would get good tips. So such things were so I learned a lot that way, it was nice. And then after a year, then I could sign a contract with Schlesinger.
Okay.
So again, that was Tom and the coach Tom and Heather Nielsen. She was the former All England champion, and her son was playing at Wimbledon Club, and he was slightly younger to me. We were practice partners. So she helped me find a contract, and so I could stabilize a little bit. Then I traveled a bit with part of the contract was you should also devote little time for coaching the youngsters. So you have to go to different leisure centers, talk about the rackets, because Schlesinger was very big in tennis, and so then they introduced badminton rackets, and so Gillian Gills, those time she was a big star in English badminton, and she was a big name. She won the All England many times, and in the 70s, and she had just retired by then, and she was part of Schlesinger. So we used to go and do some clinics, and so that helped me, and maybe later for my coaching aspects as well. I learned that way, but it was good life, and I really. But later, then of course, badminton I started playing better, and we won the Surrey County, the English League, and other things we won, and so I was playing regularly by then for India. I used to travel back. I used to
back and forth,
back to India, and whenever there was important assignments, I used to come back, and I used to spend my money because I had a travels team contract at that time then from Air India. So that I used to come to India and play the international tournaments. All I used my money, that way.
Yes.
And for those times, the support wasn't that big, and there wasn't any support. In fact, the government or the BI could only send you for a few tournaments. So, but that helped, and then I qualified for the Olympic Games. By then, I was nearly 30, 29, 30. My career was, but that was also maybe a phase where there were a lot of pressure from Badminton Association of India. They were stopping me from playing international tournaments. They said, unless because I was based in England, and I applied for a license status. Those days, only players who had license status could earn prize money. There was very little prize money was available. So when I used to reach quarterfinals or in international events, the prize money would go to India. World Federation would send it to India because you're not supposed to directly accept money. And, so I had that constraints, and so I requested Badminton Association of India for that status, since I was a resident of England. But they said, no, you are not even the national champion, you wouldn't be given. So I was very upset. They had given this to Prakash. Prakash, of course, was the best player in the world then. And, but subsequently I complained to Badminton World Federation because they were based in England and they helped me. Then I got the license status. So then I could play freely tournaments. But so those things were little because that's how the setup was. And
So, your experience now that you're saying in the international circuit, did it give insights into how badminton was structured and supported? You said the lack of support in India at that point for badminton players. Was there a lot of difference in how it was structured and supported in countries outside of India at that point?
outside those days, the big the badminton powerhouses were Malaysia, Indonesia, China, then Denmark, England, Germany. So they all had good support system, and they were very good. And so they were only basically these countries really dominated world. But Korea came in, so they were dominating. So they had a structured way of giving exposure to the players. But in India, we, of course, Prakash was big, and then there was another player, Said Modi. So we were the next best two singles players in the country, and but there were restrictions. Very limited funds were available. But since I was based in England, I could play a little more tournaments compared to others. But I used my money to go for these tournaments and play, and whatever I earned from England, and so that Badminton Association of India didn't like it, and but later they were okay, and because World Federation also supported me.
Yes.
So, but when from that stage onwards, they introduced new clauses for Indian because for players to, unless the entries go through them, it should not be accepted. They put conditions and such things. So World Federation also then has been following that, and even now that continues. We tried to change that a bit in 1997 when we revolted against Badminton Association of India.
Yes, you spoke about that. Yeah. What was all that? What was that all about?
No, that was in 1994. Then Prakash, myself, and Vivek, we thought we'll start a badminton academy, and we started the academy, and most of the top players of the country then joined the academy program, and so we had a sponsorship from BPL, and so they were very big in the home appliances company. It was actually British Physical Laboratories, and they were making stethoscopes and other things in late 60s. But once they branched into this television sets, and they were very big, and so they came forward to support us, and so we had some funds, and so we provided free training and accommodation facilities to about 20 players, the top players of the country then. So that didn't go well with Badminton Association of India. Then those times, they stopped sending entries of players. At the time, the current chief coach, Gopi Chand and Aparna Popa, they were all training under us in Bangalore. And so their entries were stopped, and they were not forwarding the entries, and such things were there. So then we revolted. So they questioned the academy, because even though we were not taking any funds from them, we were only helping the players. But maybe that they felt that we were doing their job. So they said we will not send their entries for international players, and so Gopi Chand, Aparna Popa, all their entries were being stopped. So then we revolted, and I formed the Players Association. Prakash formed the Indian Badminton Confederation. That was a tough phase, and but we got a lot of support. Of course, the media and all, they always support. And it went on for a couple of 2-3 months, and the players fraternity, everybody supported. The states associations, they started supporting. But then the Indian Olympic Association at that time, then they felt that if it happens to badminton that way, it can
happen to
other sport as well. And even the top cricketers, I remember Sunil Gavaskar and all came forward to support us, and it was a big thing. Because but then Mr. Suresh Kalmadi came down, and they said, no, we will make certain changes in Badminton Association of India, and we will accept some of the things you're suggesting, and So Players Association that got the recognition, and Indian Badminton Confederation then merged with Badminton Association of India. We had to compromise, and otherwise the players would have suffered because the government agencies, the players were employed with banks and different various institutions, and because they were putting pressure on them. They said, you cannot, you have to, because we did a whole different circuit, parallel circuit, with prize money and other things, and but then we had to compromise because otherwise the players would have suffered. So then Prakash said, no, he would step down. They offered Prakash as the executive president of Badminton Association of India, and for a couple of years he continued there, and then he stepped down, and because that was the intention, was always that, not to continue in the association.
So in spite of the early challenges that you have, I think now the academy is just
Yes, now
producing brilliant talent, national and world level champions. I think you people are doing such an amazing job.
It is, you feel very happy to see, because now the facilities are a lot better. We were earlier operating out of Karnataka Badminton Association premises. So they were very good to us. And so those days in the mid-90s, I think one of the secretary of, and then the chief minister, Mr. Bangarappa, they all contributed in building a badminton hall there, and that was allotted to Karnataka Badminton Association in the 80s, that piece of land. So there we had built that association, that structure. And so then Mr. Mani, he was a secretary, and I'm really thankful to him, because of course, they used Prakash's name really well, raised funds, and build that wonderful infrastructure. So when that was built, they said you could shift the academy. You can take 5 courts of it and run the program there. And so we operated from that premises for nearly 20 years.
Yes, and I think the Karnataka Badminton Association is an amazing facility.
Yeah,
I've gone there
right
as well.
to the city center.
Yes,
And it was...
So Vimal sir, the 1980s, like you mentioned, was an era of exceptional Indian badminton talent. Prakash Padukone sir, yourself, Syed Modi sir. What was the competitive atmosphere like among the Indian players?
The Indian players, of course, Prakash then was based in Denmark. I was in England, but I wanted to win the national championships, because Prakash prior to that had won it, and Syed Modi was winning the national title, and I've lost to him many nationals, and finally, before he passed away, I beat him and Prakash in one of the tournaments, a ranking tournament in Bareilly in 88 or something, and then he was killed in 88 when we finished Thomas Cup and came back. I think he was murdered in. Then when he died, then I became the national champion, because many titles I've lost to him, and but it was a good rivalry between us. And Syed was, I always respected him, as a player. He was very clever. He was a little lazy. He was not very good with the physical training aspects, but he was very clever, and he had a good badminton sense. And of course, those days, the shuttlecocks we used were also of the local made. It was tough for me to really play good at the nationals, but I used to get to the finals, but then would lose to Syed. And but the rivalry was good. We had also many other good players, but many of them never got the opportunity to play
ahead,
international badminton, and so they were always, we had good talented players, even Uday Pawar, Leroy Disa, they were all exceptionally talented people, and, but because of limited exposure and other things, but they still won Asian Games medals and such things.
Yeah.
So it was a good phase, but by then I was living in England, so I was I got little more better exposure than them, to play out, and so it was good. It was but compared to now, it is a lot better.
Yeah,
definitely.
So after achieving so much as a player, you transitioned into coaching. What was that? Was that part of a natural evolution, or was that a planned move?
It was nothing planned like that. When I was after the Barcelona Olympic Games, we were always practicing in Canberra Union. When I moved back to India, we were practicing in Canberra Union Prakash courts in Malaysia. So that was three badminton hall. So there we were practicing, and and there Vivek also used to practice. Vivek stayed close by, and so me and Vivek always had an ambition, to build a badminton court premises and such things. So we thought we'll start a small academy. So he said, we should find a place and look for a land and build a badminton court of our own. And so at that time, I didn't have the money or anything. So then Prakash was also the chairman of the Karnataka Sports Council. So then when we went to ask him for advice, he said, no, I also have this in mind, and so I would like to join you guys. And so then the name, everything fell in place, everything was perfect. So that's how we started the Prakash Padukone Badminton Academy.
So what's harder, being a champion player or creating champion players?
No, it is. See, when you're a player, you just need to worry about yourself, and it's easier. But as a coach, you have to take so many people along with the team, and it is so management also is very tough because the players, different players, you handle different types of players, different temperament. Because at the top level, they all have different various temperament, and because our time, we didn't have much to look to, and just played, the opportunity. We just never thought too much, but then the thinking process changed, and so it was the transition. It is player to coach was difficult, but I enjoyed it, and because one advantage we had from the academy was that we always never charged a player. So we had that sponsorship, and we were under Prakash Padukone Badminton Academy. We always provided everything free to the athlete.
Okay.
So the first 10 years when we did that, we had limited funds, but BPL was supportive, and then we were doing that. So any player who was with us in the academy, we provided them accommodation, food, and free coaching, and so nobody could come up to and say no, yes, we. So we were little more. We could decide. We were not dependent on them. But when you are dependent on an athlete, then you will have issues. And the present many academies have come up. They charge huge fees, but we were not that way. That was different, and so we could be assertive.
So you didn't make your athletes go work in an Italian restaurant and
no, maybe,
wait on tables.
No, those times, of course, in England you could do. In India, if you make your top player work, it's totally
the parents
different.
Might come after you.
But it was different, and but the players, whatever the best we could offer at that time, we did that, and yes, we had limitations. Definitely, the exposure was still a problem, and we tried to do the best we could at the time, and but definitely we were one of the first private academies anywhere in the world, because most of the badminton nations, their associations or the government supported the program.
Yes.
For us, we were
a
private, totally private, and so that way, the present. If you look at the present level, the Indian badminton has got to. We can clearly say, and we also contributed towards its success, and so those changes happened in those 90s phase.
Yes.
And
Vimal sir, Muhammad Ali had quoted once about champions. He said, "Champions aren't made in gyms, and champions are made from something they have deep inside them: a desire, a dream, and a vision." Right. So when a young player walks through the academy door, can you tell at a glance who has a champion mindset, and what do you think separates a true champion from talented players?
Yes, definitely. Of course, Muhammad Ali was my favorite.
Yes.
You see my room,
I always have. I have so many of his quotes.
Yes. He's my favorite because he changed the world sports scene, and more professionalism came in because of him, and even though it was boxing, but anyway, this particular aspect, definitely, we can make out what I look for in a player is the youngster is whether they have the ability. So normally when they come, we put them through some paces.
Yeah.
They play on the court and we feed them shuttles. They just play. But some of them, the exceptional ones, they will not make mistakes, even though it is simple. They will put the shuttle across the net. And because badminton is one sport, we'll always be gasping because the rallies are intense.
Yes.
And so a child, those who have that ability to keep the shuttle, keep it going, even though, they will be in this state, but they will still have that, you can see that spark, they will want to shuttle to be put across
They won't
the net.
give up.
They won't, so that is a very clear indication. But I'm talking purely from the badminton point of view.
Yeah.
It is you have to have that ability. Maybe slightly technically they may be wrong, but some of them, when the rallies are a little long, they just give up. So that is that mindset. We clearly look at in a small kid. So many I have noticed that right from I've seen Saina Nehwal to Lakshya Sen or anybody, they all had that ability. To go through. Of course, we can say no pain, no gain, but small children, when they come, they don't know anything about this, and they just they enjoying it. So that is something. If I see that spark, then I feel we have a lot of hope on them, and then other things we can work on. The strength aspects and technical aspects we can work on. But that is something what I look at it in a player. In our sport.
So, have you had anyone who, at your first impression, you thought didn't have it in them, but then completely changed your perspective about them?
Maybe yes, a few. They've gone on to, but to go to the real big stage.
Yeah.
I've not come across anybody like that. Those who have that limitation, they will always have that. Because that is something you can later. It cannot be drilled into. These are natural abilities. You can work at it, and but some of that, because I always feel that the international big stage, it is a temperament. It is a temperament. It is very, very important, and but many of them, we have also, at that time, we were also evolving. We also didn't know, because badminton was always very physical. So the method of training at that time was, to really push the athlete to the limit.
Yeah.
And then because it was endurance-based sport, and but later, it changed.
So then, you said about pushing the athletes to limits, and we've watched a lot of sport movies where the coaches are pushing. So where do you know how to draw a line? Where to stop to prevent injuries, burnouts?
Yes.
How do you do that
then,
as a coach?
that is, as a coach also, you should be observant, and athlete also need to respond back. But our culture is such that don't talk back. We have always put that, do whatever we tell you to do, just do that. But sometimes at the elite level, the athlete needs to know, understand. So this is something the athlete also should be aware. They should know about the body, and then talk to the coach. Yes, I'm tired. This is what. So sometimes when some of them fake, but the real good ones you can make out. So we know. So then to stop, and such things really is very important, because badminton is one sport. We do a lot of physical training aspects, and then a lot of even technical aspects which we work on the court. That's also very grueling.
Yeah.
And the plyometrics, badminton is plyometrics, and it is. So it is very tough. Then the strength training aspects at the gym. So every session is very tough. So we should know. And many athletes, they try to push all the sessions very hard. And, so those aspects, many did. Some of them, could not realize the full potential. So I also have regrets, because at that time we also didn't realize it, so they were pushing and
when to restrain
yes, when
yourself,
to,
right?
and then later, now maybe 10, 15 years with sports science, and a lot more knowledge came into the sport. Our physiotherapy departments have improved. These are all very important components.
Yes.
Strength and conditioning people,
Yes.
they came in. So they've all, these aspects we've really improved now.
Yeah.
But those times, no, it was tough. Of course, we've had one very good athletic coach with us who helped the players that phase, Mr. Via Bidu. And he was a top athletic coach, and he joined us when we started the academy. He guided us in physical training aspects, and so that to a certain extent. So he always used to tell us at that time that you are doing too much work on the court. You have to restrict that.
Yeah.
But we used to argue with him, and he said, "No, sir, this is what it is, and we need to push them on the court."
Yeah.
And on. So those sort of finding the right balance was really required, and so then eventually we have also learned from those experiences and.
Yes. So you spoke about, all the athletic training, the strength training, and
Yes.
everything that the players go through. But then, having watched badminton and tennis tournaments, I'm sure, like playing on that world stage when the whole country and the whole all of them are watching, and you want to get that medal, it must put a lot of mental
Yes.
pressure. So, do you also get these athletes through any sort of, mental training?
It is
or
available,
somebody?
and it's up to the athlete to make use of it.
Okay.
Because many of the top athletes, what I have noticed is, they will give 100%, on their technical side, strength part, all the other physical parameters.
Yes.
But this mental aspects, they neglect. But they don't enjoy that because, sit and do certain things, but that's part of professional sport.
Yes.
You need to find ways to deal with these pressure situations. They have to go through paces. So at that time, certain times, you have to sacrifice your technical aspects and strength aspects, to focus on that. But many athletes are reluctant to do that. And because in India, we are still evolving, we need to get better in these aspects. But they still feel that we have to do everything. It is the tough physical routine. So this aspect, attention is being given. But again, the athlete needs to realize it and work at it. If they don't play or don't do training for a day or two, nothing is going to happen. But they have to find ways to balance it. And, there are good people available for it. But basically what I've noticed is the top athletes, we don't trust. Because we feel, if I don't train for 2 days, I have to go through this. No, I can't do that. And, so only when they're really in dumps, then they think, yes.
But it's not part of the academy.
It is part of the academy.
Yes,
we tell.
Because I think when Gukesh was training for his championships, and that's when his coach put him through mental coaching as well, which really helped. Because in chess, I think it's very important. So I'm sure it's really important in all the other sports as well.
Because it's more physical. It is because you're always mentally and physically tired in our sport, and it is not easy. And but again, it is the realization the athlete has to trust that process.
Yes.
Because unless it comes from within them, we can only provide these opportunities and tell them the relevance of it, importance of it. But if they don't take that initiative, they will have limitations. But sometimes it is a little too late. Sometimes you have to realize early, and such athletes will definitely perform.
Benefit from that. What do you think is the biggest mistake you see young players make today?
Because I'm not saying it's a mistake or anything. They do, but the process. But many of them, they don't want to go through the process. That enjoyment, they all, because of the social media and the way it is, the elite athletes, when they achieve something, how it is hyped, things are hyped up. They'll say in social media, they say, he did this overnight, he became a champion, and so a lot of things. The youngsters watch that social media and then get carried away, and they think the results will come. So that won't come. It takes ages. What I can tell you is from an athlete, when they are 10, 11, when they come to us, it will take them minimum 10 years. 10 years to become establish at the world stage. 1920, 21 only you can establish at the world stage.
Yeah.
Till then, that process, they need to go through. Many are, the parents also feel that way. And, so because we cannot question the parents, because in education, they think, if you invest money, you get,
Get
but
returns.
sport, it is not that
Yes.
way. That process they need to, especially if they're not an athlete or if they have not gone through that process,
Yeah.
it's very difficult for them. They think, oh, we can send them to the best academies in the world. We can send them, they will get the results. It won't come like that. The moment the athlete starts enjoying the process,
Yeah.
so different stages, some of them, they really show that spark at a very young age. Then they will be lacking in strength aspects. Then they need to work on the strength part.
Yeah.
But at that time, their game can go down a little bit. But these are processes, and the people who don't know much about especially the parents,
to trust that
they
process.
need to trust
right?
that process.
Yes.
So that is something I feel the present lot sometimes they get carried. They want that quick results, because the same age category, they suddenly find that the other child is
It's
really
basically instant gratification
Yes,
now because of
yes.
social
It
media.
is,
Do you look at what social media is doing to the players and then, take a step back and give a sigh of relief saying, thank God it was not there during my time because I didn't have the pressure? Or do you think there is also some benefit of social
no,
media?
definitely benefits are there, a lot more awareness. So, so that is there. But, they should see the right things.
Yes.
Because 90% of the things, even the elite athletes' achievements and other things are just, in my opinion, a lot of them are just exaggerated, bloated, to the extent. So it is not the real facts they're showing. So that
Also,
is
it's
something.
whatever shown in social media is just tip of the iceberg. Nobody's seeing the hard work that's gone
Yes,
beneath,
so
right?
that is that process. And
Yeah.
say what I've noticed, the new trend is, when the young athletes, when they achieve something, then they will say, I was very poor, I didn't have anything, I sold my property, earned money this way. They're immediately looking at what they can benefit. So it is not the money and fame and other things will come to you.
Yeah.
But, they have to trust the process. They have to be at it, especially when you get to the world stage big. That is, even to stay there is not easy. So that is the time, lots of them get carried away. There are a lot of pools, a lot of people come to manage you, the sponsorship, everything. We, Indian sport, we are still not professional yet. We need to learn to cope with such things, the elite athlete needs to manage. Cricketers, to a certain extent, in my opinion, are managing it because it's a high profile sport, a lot of focus on them. They are coping with little more pressure better than other disciplines. We are getting there, but I'm not saying, there is money, fame, and adulation and all should not be there. It should be there. But our athletes need to learn to cope with it, how they can manage these things. That is something we need to learn. That we are very poor.
Manage your victories as well as your losses,
yes.
right? Yeah. So you received the Dronacharya Award in 2019, decades after you started coaching. What did this recognition mean to you personally?
It is always good to get recognized, and it was nice. I felt happy, but again, these awards, after a week, everything is forgotten. So I don't think too much about it. It is, but it is some, when you get some recognition, it is an honor, and from the government, and it's so I feel good about it. But yeah, I after 10 days, I've forgotten that. It doesn't. But everything now, you get tagged, so that is okay, no. But I don't feel, I feel, the biggest joy I get is, when you're with the youngsters, when I come to the badminton hall, when I see these youngsters train and, the what they go through, it gives me a lot of joy, so that is, that I'm quite,
So you were the team manager during the Thomas Cup victory. What made that moment so special? And what, according to you, has been your biggest achievement as a coach?
Maybe, I would say that for even Indian badminton, 2022 India winning Thomas Cup is the biggest achievement for Indian badminton, because as a team, we succeeded. But when I say that, I also have a story to tell in way back in 1981. the Chinese just came into the scene, and I was selected to represent India for the Thomas Cup. And so those days it was a best of 9 matches, 5 singles and 4 doubles. These 5 singles means the top 2 singles players have to play the next day reverse singles. Present day it is 3 singles and 2 doubles.
Yes.
That's how the format is. But those days, we have to. It's a home and away. Sometimes, if you're playing China, you have to go to China. If you have to play, maybe they have to come to India to play us. So that's sort of especially from quarterfinal stages. That is how it was done. Like the present Davis Cup format.
Yes.
So I was as a youngster. That was went to China, and I was taken in as the 3rd singles player. And Prakash and Syed Modi was 1 and 2, and I was a 3rd singles player. But then Prakash backed off at the last minute. Prakash, at that time, Chinese came in. Prakash had beaten the Chinese. So he was very big. The Chinese were really worried about Prakash. So when we went to, at the time it was called Peking. It was not Beijing. We were there, and we went 3 days early there, and the China fielded their best team, and so we had to play the number 1 singles at that time, because in the lot, they say 1 and 2. Modi played the second match, and we were thrashed so badly by the Chinese, and because they thought every player was of Prakash's level, so they fielded the best team, and I've never played such fast rallies in my life, and and I was just 18 or something, and it was very tough. And we were literally thrashed. At that time, the points were 15 points, not the 21-point format. So all our singles players, 5 singles players, because the reverse next day also we were thrashed. All our singles points did not reach up to 50. So that was a thrashing the Chinese. Our doubles players could score double-digit points, but singles we were all thrashed. So me and Modi, we were very disappointed, and but later, then when I look back, after 40 years, I was also part of that win, so that was very special. We could beat all these teams. And, so that was very special. So I always say, so that 40 years, we bridged the gap. We could beat all these best teams in the world. And Indonesia was very special. And again, it was a great team effort. I would give a lot of credit to the top players. Lakshya, Srikanth, Pranoy, Satvik, Chirag, so they all as a team, and as a manager, I was very happy, so because when there were differences of opinion or something, I could intervene and they would listen, and so we really, as a team, we really gel well, and so for me that thing was very, very special, and maybe yes, all the thrashings we got over the years, and so that was really, we could
time
convert.
can you say revenge? Not revenge, but yes.
Yeah, but many times we played. Subsequently, we were improving, and I was part of many of the Thomas Cup team as well. But we always faltered at the quarterfinal stage, and losing to China, Denmark, and Malaysia or Indonesia, we've always lost, But then, we could beat them all and win. It was very special.
So we've talked about China and Indonesia and Denmark being powerhouses of badminton. What do you think they're doing differently when compared to the Indian players and coaching?
Indonesia always, like for us, cricket, it is a tradition. Malaysia, it is the number 1 sport. So they get all the support. Like here, we have so much of talented cricketers. You can form 1, 2, A, B, C team. They're all world class. So that way, that's a sort of popularity the sport enjoys in Indonesia and Malaysia. And so they have been winning Thomas Cup and Uber Cup for decades. So that plus factor was there. Denmark, of course, always had their own way of doing things, and it was always a popular sport in Denmark, because during winter everybody played badminton in Denmark. They have excellent badminton halls in Denmark. That's one of the reasons why Prakash also moved to Denmark when he won the All England and other things. And So then England traditionally they also had good facilities for squash and badminton, so they were good. So but the system that Malaysia, Indonesia, what they followed was very regimented. They would identify a group of centralized training, so that to a certain extent that was help. But those days, the many players they would sacrifice, because out of the 100, whether it's China or Indonesia, out of the 100, they were put through really tough, and maybe they sacrifice out of the 100. 90 they sacrifice, 10 tough ones come out. That's what we see. So, but in a system like in a democracy, or in a system like India or England, you cannot follow that, and it is because the players will have their own ideas, and they will have their own way of doing things. You cannot force it on them, so that is always a drawback. I wouldn't say it's a drawback, but we have to balance it out. Eventually, so to a certain extent, we are doing that now in India. Yes, at times, the talent pool comes down, and it will, but we are, in my opinion, we are managing decent. Yes, of course, of late, some results were very poor, but many youngsters are coming up. But we cannot really adopt what China or Indonesia or Malaysia are doing. It's not.
So, looking at Indian badminton today versus when you started playing, what transformation amazes you the most?
The most important thing I've noticed is the funding part, the exposure. And of course, then the scoring format changed in 2006. If you look at it, it was earlier when you only served, you got a point. So then it was more endurance based. And later, the scoring format, that helped to a certain extent. It has made it a level playing field for everyone. Many of the nations, whether it was Japan, India, Thailand, all of these nations bridged the gap with the big names. That was Indonesia and Malaysia, China, and so that scoring format helped. Then, of course, the physical training methods. So we have improved because we have good trainers now, strength and conditioning coaches. Each department is very specialized, so they understand the biomechanics better, and so they are working at it on those lines. Then good physiotherapy, so that's also an important aspect. Then good recovery, nutrition. These things really make. Because earlier when we were playing, the real, this was, how Milkha Singh trained, he would puke blood, so he trained till then. Maybe it suited him, and, so that this story, that was how it was put across, and everybody had to do that, to become a champion. And, but those things have changed. Sports science has gotten, we still have a long way to go in sports science and things, but we are getting better. And so these are things that is happening in Indian sports. Slowly, that revolution is happening.
I'm just listening to you and thinking there's so much that goes behind getting, what we see. We're just watching the final match, and there's so much that goes, so many years of hard work and so many people behind it.
Yeah, definitely. It is teamwork. Now, when you look at it, if you look at it, Lakshya Sen, he has a devoted coach for himself, the trainer, a physio, then sparring partners. So these are all.
What's a sparring partner?
Sparring means there are 2, 3, 4 players will be there to feed him sparring, because that's very important.
Okay.
Because because when 2, 3 of the competitors, when they play, so they all need that individual attention and sessions. So when they have done the training, then it's very difficult for them to come and feed the fellow player. So they all have their own team, and because at the elite level, that's how it needs to. So that change is happening in badminton, like in tennis. See, Nadal or Federer, they all have their team. So badminton also, it is evolving. It is that way. It is the top players are getting that sort of sponsorship and support.
Wonderful, really wonderful to hear that. If you could change one thing about Indian badminton today, what would it be?
Maybe I feel we can provide little more attention. what is being given now, everything is going to the top tier, the top others. So maybe that funding, part, so we need to teach our elite players the importance of professionalism. So they cannot expect, I feel it's they need to learn. They should think that, yes, I'm earning good now. So I need to invest my money back. It is not my birthright. I cannot. Of course, officially, when you're representing the country, you take benefits from but otherwise, they need to, yes, I have the money. I will play the circuit. I have my team. I will pay for it. Some support, you take. And if I'm paying so much of income tax, I will reduce my expenditure from that income tax what I'm paying. So something like that sort of a mindset. And I want the elite athletes to bring in that concept. It is not that, because you played at the highest level, you're doing well for the country. It is not your birthright to get everything for. No, it has to be, you have to come forward and say, yes, I'm earning so much. I'm good enough. I can. So I always tell Lakshya and the youngsters, so now you're getting better. Don't depend on anybody. You can form your. So I want those sort of professionalism to happen to Indian sport. Yes, elite athletes are getting all the support, and but I feel a lot more can be done for
the ones who are coming up.
And the next level. We need more support. Badminton is one sport. We can do that. Our association is financially quite better now, so they need to go into that aspect. I feel we should go do that. That is something I want to see that change happening.
Yes. So what has badminton taught you about life outside the court?
No, my life has always everything was, but maybe we can take adversities. We can absorb. A lot of the time the adversity much better. So we can. So that way, I feel the sport gives you that strength. It is not always everything is rosy, and then also you get to learn from the different athletes. You're dealing with different parents, their emotions, what they expect. These are all, some of them there is, I always feel that, there is no particular way in which a player can become a champion. Sometimes, we have to listen to the parents. It is not that, if you look at it, tennis, see Serena Williams or Steffi Graf or the parents, they used to whip them. Nobody knows that. They were put through so much of misery. Even Andrea Gassi now says that my father did this to me, but I never enjoyed, but he achieved. But sometimes it works, but sometimes it won't work. So we cannot, so sometimes these sort of parents, when they come, we need to manage them. We need to make them understand, So that's why you learn these things, and this is something I really enjoy looking at it. And when I see their emotions, and because there are a lot of youngsters coming up in the center, and how hyper the parents are,
I want to ask you this. So, does it sometimes become more difficult to manage the parents than the players?
Yes, it is. It is. But because if the parents are not there, we won't get the child. Because they have to bring them. They do a lot of sacrifices. Because early morning they have to get up. Like you said, your daughter. I wish because you didn't have maybe the time. You were busy working. But you have to sacrifice. If that has to be done. If they have to come up in sport or any other field other than academics also, it's very important. The parents sacrifice a lot, and so at times they get carried away. So we need to make them understand. It is so it is not easy, but if you can bring in some changes, help them. I really enjoy that process, and because now I'm also getting old, and so it is it's good to.
You don't look old at all.
It is,
So, do you prepare your athletes for life, like as they progress further, like, they've finished almost, you find that they're coming towards the end of their competitive career.
Yes.
Do you also advise them how to transition into life after competitive sport?
Yes. Basically, some of them, if they have an aptitude for coaching, some of them, they get injuries and then they get very disappointed. And so those such people also can become good coaches. Because what they went through, it is a good, they can translate that, to a young athlete, they can guide them better. And, so that experience, it always helps in their coaching aspect. But some of them will not have the aptitude for coaching. They join, some of the government institutes, they come up in career. But whatever it is, what I have always noticed is the children who are into sport, unlike before, they are equally good in academics. They're very good with time management and such things. That is a big plus factors. So this is something we need to make everyone understand. Just because you are indulging in sport or some other, the child is passionate about something, but if they're really passionate, they will manage academics also. They are very good. Badminton players, I've noticed they're equally good. And so sometimes 16, 17, that's the age where you need to really decide whether to pursue sport professionally or academics. Because by then, you will get an idea. But many of them, it's very tough for a coach to tell them, yes, you will have limitation, you pursue academics. But I mean, it's tough for me to convey that, but we always tell them, yes, give little more attention to, don't neglect your sport, but still pursue your sport, but devote more time to the academics. So
when you say that to them, do they take it well? Like, because they've been training so hard for getting somewhere, and then
it is difficult, because you can make out. You can easily make out, but sometimes the parents don't understand. They also feel that they also should become, because everybody is looking at an Olympic medal or becoming the world champion, So everybody cannot get there. But we cannot also discourage them, But if they have that aptitude for that sport, they will contribute in another way to it, So I always will have somebody who don't make it. I have hopes on them, So that way, you have to guide them. And so that's how, because sport, it is in the next 10, 15 years in the country, it's going to get big. It's the biggest thing that's going to happen. And sport will, in my opinion, taking sport as a profession, it will happen. So, in every, now, of course, acting, movies, and they become very big, and there is a lot more opportunities. So that's why I always tell the parents, if they're passionate about something, encourage them, and but should never brand them. Oh, he's mentally weak, we need to take them to the psychologist at 12, 11 years. They don't need all those things. They don't know anything. You just have to support them and give them just good food. So I always tell the parents, you just take care of their food and provide them that, and encourage them, but don't allow them to complain too much. Because if they come and I lost because of this, I did this because of that, all that don't encourage. You have to be tough, with them. So the toughening happens between 11 and 15 years. That's a toughening process. So they have to enjoy that. And
I've only seen coaches in movies, and I love the way you're so passionate about what you do and the way you're speaking about the students that you have. I just feel that I should come back one day here and watch you coach. Vimal sir, we're just coming to the conclusion of the interview. If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing about what real success looks like, what would it be?
See, for me, I always have regrets. So this is something I always tell the young athletes, because you should not have any regrets later when you hang up your rackets. But for me, I wish I had done this. You have regrets. So when I ask Prakash that, he will say, I have no regrets. Whatever I could do, because then it's good. For me, it was different, because some of the opportunities, you could not convert. Various factors, the issues I had with Badminton Association of India and such things. So it was, so eventually that should be the goal. The end. Because nowadays the children get a lot more opportunities.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, to make use of the opportunities. It is 90%. It is the athlete.
Yeah.
It is only 10% is us.
Yeah.
All the other things put together. 90%. If the athlete is really passionate, if they have that. Very sincere about it, very passionate about it, they will. They will. Of course, you have to have the ability, so that you can make out. So that is something, sometimes I wish, I could have achieved, because I was considered very more talented than many players. Sometimes I didn't have the mental aspects. I used to get worried. What will happen? Think what the end result. Such things I wish, I could correct it.
Do you sometimes think that if you had the same opportunities like the players now had?
Yeah, you can.
you
It's
could
but
have
that's
done.
not. Yes.
Yes,
No, it
I
is.
know.
But that is always one generation will always
Yes.
think that way,
Yes.
and But you cannot also some of the things which I tell the athletes. The old things like the phone and other thing don't use, and such things we tell them we didn't have such things, we were like this. They think, the present generation might think, we are from the Stone Age, so it is that, so we have to find the right way of conveying things to the
yes, also balancing, right?
yes,
like you cannot completely
yes,
withhold the
yes,
phone,
yes,
and that's the same thing
yes.
we face at home, right?
Yes,
like with our kids.
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Because how find ways to deal with it, and every situation is different.
Yes.
There is no just fixed things. You do this, and then you can become like. There is nothing like that, and it is everybody is different. So we have to deal with such things,
Yes.
and.
So, as a parting word of advice for a 16-year-old who dreams of representing India today, 16, I think maybe I should say
Yes.
12-year-old who dreams of representing India one day, what would be your parting advice be to someone like that?
No, basically, I want them to develop that pride, because that's something which we lack. Because we're always looking at what is not there. So that is something. If you have to have the pride, it has to start from a very young age. It is not that when you represent the country, you say, no, I'm proud. The pride don't come at that time.
Yeah.
It has to start from your school. Yes, I'm the best from my school. I'll do the best for my school. I'll do the best for my district. I'll do the best for my college. Everywhere best for my state. It is that pride. Once you develop that pride, it is not arrogance.
Yes.
Yes, so that is different, so that they have to develop at a young age. So I always tell them, have pride, and it always, and then don't, whatever, the facility, try to, if they are mentally happy somewhere, they will do well. If you can give them the best of facilities, everything, but if they're not mentally happy, they're still, they cannot realize their potential. So always, be happy. And so that's what I keep telling them, and get there, and the opportunities are there. I'm hopeful, and I always tell them there is funds, there is funding available, there will be support, but work at it. But you show that from this, then it will be there for you. It is so that we are in a position now to offer that. So that is there. As far as our sport is concerned, badminton is concerned, that is there. But we cannot also be too harsh on them, because so that also we have to find the right balance. It is very difficult for me to remove a child from the academy, because we have certain processes. We graduate sometimes,
Okay.
and sometimes it's a very tough job, because you're so attached to them. But then you have to do it, because we have limited numbers and resources, and so that's a hard job. But the youngsters, by doing sport, they will face adversity better than anybody
Anyone
else.
Yes, yes. I remember once, I think Deepika Padukone also said this about, how sport has helped her,
Yes.
face all kind of adversities in life.
Yes.
And then,
and I think
yes.
some of our stories also very good, and like she defied her parents and went to Bombay. And because Prakash and all, they were also very conservative family, and they didn't know. But she made up her mind, and she was going to Bombay on her own and pursuing the career. And so that is, and whatever that is achieved, so that is again, it is because you are so passionate about it and sincere. You have to have that sincerity. If you're not sincere, no chance.
So what next for you?
No, I'm very hopeful. We have a good facility, and we have excellent facilities and support system, and when I look at it, I see some 3-4 of these youngsters really coming on quite well. Now, of course, Lakshya, I hope he can get a medal for India at the next Olympic Games. And there's another boy coming on quite well, is Ayush Shetty. Then there are some very young ones, some small young girls and boys. I'm very hopeful of them, doing well. I don't want to name them now,
Yes.
because, but I feel, they have the potential, and we can provide them a lot more opportunities now. So I'm looking forward to them really. And the other big plus factor for me, when I come to the center, when I'm here with the youngsters, I feel young.
Yes,
so I'm happy.
absolutely.
Yeah, so it keeps me also mentally happy.
Yes. And you have such an amazing job of watching champions being born, right? Yes, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. And what a conversation, from the courts of Trivandrum to the podiums of Paris, from a decade in England to the roar of the Thomas Cup victory. Vimal sir's journey has been one of quiet brilliance and selfless service to Indian badminton. He fought for reform. He shaped champions, not by seeking the spotlight, but by lighting the path for others. If this conversation inspired you, please share it, because legends like Vimal sir need to be celebrated. Thank you so much.